We swept the hardwood yesterday. Can we do it again today? Because we've got another loaded basketball slate. It's Wednesday, December 6th, 2023, and this is the Free 3. What's up, guys? It's your boy Noble Living back with another DYF Bets video where I'm breaking down my favorite picks and plays of the day as we just try to get to the bag together and make some money. Like I mentioned earlier, we swept the board yesterday. Let's go. We were long overdue for a sweep. We needed it. No sweat bets. I'm okay. We had to sweat that Durant rebound. He grabbed it late in the fourth quarter, but we got there. Julius Randle points and rebounds. Definitely no sweat there. My boy was hooping. He didn't even miss like a shot until like the third quarter. And then we also got the under in the Michigan State-Wisconsin game there. We love to see that. 3-0 on the day. We needed that sweep, baby, because listen, we started off the month of December cold, but now we're starting to heat up. Well, hopefully. Let's see if we can string some winning days together, right? You can see our year-to-date record right here. We're over 500 now in the month of December. Love to see it. Still absolutely killing it in the NBA. And listen, I've got 2 more NBA picks for you guys today. So make sure that you drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel so this way you guys can stay up with all the latest picks that I'm dropping. And as I start to heat up, you guys can join the action as well. I appreciate all the love and support, my friends. And let's dive into these best bets. For my first best bet of the day, I'm going to go to that Spurs and Timberwolves matchup that's happening tonight. And we've got the number 1 seed in the West back home. That's the Timberwolves. And they're 9-1 on the year at the Target Center. You love to see that. Meanwhile, the Spurs, they're still the same old Spurs. I mean, Victor Wembanyama, whatever, or not. Listen, they find themselves in the same dismal position that they find themselves in for the last several years. They're 3-16 coming into this matchup. And I just don't really like them in this spot tonight. Now, you guys know I don't put out a lot of money lines in the NBA or spreads in the NBA. Because anything can happen, but I do like a player in this matchup, and I think this is an excellent spot for Karl Anthony Towns, who's been in all-star form this year, especially with Anthony Edwards going down with that hip injury, trying to work his way back. His status for this game is not all the way known yet. They said he might play. He's been practicing, but we know he might not be 100%, and even if he does, I'm not expecting a huge workload from Anthony Edwards in this game because this is the only Wolves home game before they go on a 7-game road trip. For me, I feel like they really need Ant healthy and rested for that road trip, and they want him for those other games, and this is not a game really that they should have to sweat out. In all honesty, I mean, it is the NBA, anything can happen, but I think the Timberwolves can win this game if Ant doesn't even play at all. So because of that, I think this is Karl Anthony Towns' game to eat and to feast, and I'm going to go with his points and rebounds over 31.5 minus 120 odds as the first best bet. Now, Karl Anthony Towns, like I said, he's been on fire this year. He's been in all-star form. Over the last 5 games, he's averaging 23.6 points per game, 9.4 rebounds per game, on 50% shooting from the field and 50% shooting from the 3-point line. You can't make that up. Dude's been absolutely dialed, and he's also hitting his free throws at a 90% clip as well. So, I mean, he's getting it to you at all different facets of the game, and I think right now we're seeing what this Wolves team can look like when healthy, when Karl Anthony Towns is playing his best stuff, and when he's not the number 1 option, because obviously you got Anthony Edwards as well there, and he's playing really well in this Batman, Robin kind of role. And today, I think he can feast against the Spurs team because he's already done it once already against them this year. He had 29 points in their first game and 12 rebounds. So flying over this 31.5 points and rebound line very easily. So for me, I just don't see who the Spurs have that can stop them. I mean, everybody talks about Victor. Obviously, he's a great defender, but Victor, in all honesty, he's weak. I mean, he's long, he's lanky, he's got the analytical side, the big hands, the wide wingspan. But when it comes down to him on the actual court, I mean, he could get bullied out there. And I think Karl Anthony Towns, that doesn't only just stretch the floor with the 3-point, but he can take you inside as well. The Spurs have the 3rd worst scoring defense in all of the NBA. So because of that, I think Karl Anthony Towns is going to be very involved in getting scoring going for this team, especially if Anthony Edwards doesn't play or plays limited minutes. Cat is the 2nd leading scorer on this team. And then when you dive into the numbers a little bit more, the Spurs are the 5th in the league in most points given up per game to centers and rebounds given up to centers as well. So when you think about that, right, they give up a ton of rebounds to centers and a ton of points to centers. Who's the center on this team? No, we're not talking about Rudy Gobert. We're talking about Karl Anthony Towns. I think he gets it done today in a matchup where Anthony Edwards still not 100%. They need him to score here. They need him to produce, and he's been doing it week after week, game after game for this Timberwolves team, and that's one of the reasons why they have such a great record. So let's back Karl Anthony Towns today over 31.5 points and rebounds. If you just want to go with this points line at 22.5, I'm not opposed to that as well. For my second best bet of the day, I'm going to go to a total here. You know, those NBA totals have been cashing in for us. We cashed in on another one the other day, but listen, I'm going to switch it up. I know. This one might scare you guys, but we're going to go to that Miami Heat matchup as they travel to to Toronto to take on the Raptors, and this injury list for the Miami Heat is concerning. I feel like every year the Heat have just a ton of injury problems. We talk about how much Eric Spoelstra can pull out of that roster and really get those guys to play well. Can we talk about like that sports staff down there in Miami? Like, what are they doing wrong? Because those guys are always injured in Miami. I don't know what it is, but in this game, the Heat are going to be without their leading scorer and assist leader, Tyler Hero. They're also going to be without their leading rebounder, Bam Adebayo, and they're going to be without their best perimeter defender in Hayward Highsmith. Those are three guys who are very integral to this Miami Heat team. So what does that mean? That all eyes are going to be on Jimmy Butler, and who else? Like, who else? I mean, Jaime Jaquez, he's been doing good for them. He's been playing well over the last few games in their absence, but I'm not sure if that's going to be good enough against this Raptors team that matches up very well against the guards for this Miami Heat, because they have the length. They've got Scotty Barnes, who can play literally 1 through 5. They've got OG Anunoby. They've got the defenders that could really cause some havoc for this Miami Heat offense, and without Bam out there as well to stretch the floor in the big man position, I just don't really like this spot for them. So I'm going to go with Miami Heat team total under 108.5, minus 110 odds, right? And like I said, I know it wasn't going to be a popular pick to take the Miami Heat and the under, but trust me, when you look at the numbers, I feel like the under is the play. We have a low total in this game at 220, and this line actually opened up at 212.5, and it shot all the way up to about 220, and I still lean the under in this game. I do not like that line movement. I do not agree with it, because for me, the Raptors have struggled offensively just overall, so I do like the overall under. The Raptors are 24th in offensive rating, and they struggle from the three-point line as well, where they rank 29th, where they're just converting about 33% of their looks. So if the Raptors aren't hitting shots in this matchup, I believe that they're going to have to depend on their defense to really get them over a hump in what is a very winnable game for this Raptors team. We see a spread at -3 here, and I do think they win this game. I do think they cover that spread, but for me, I think the under is the safer play here, because when you look at the numbers, they are in the middle of the pack defensively in terms of scoring defense. They're giving up about 113 points per game, but that number actually increases and improves when they're at home, and that number drops to about 109 points per game that they're giving up at home, while on the other hand, Miami, they're averaging about 113 points per game, but there's a 10-point difference in their home and road splits. So they're averaging about 119 points per game at home, but only 109 points per game on the road. So for me, I think that all the numbers again are saying Miami's not as strong on the road as they are at home, and they're facing all of these injuries. And then when you look at these numbers a little bit more, when you look at the Miami scoring, those numbers are a little bit inflated, because over the last 3 games, Miami's averaging 132 points per game. But let's look at who they played. They played the Pacers twice, and they played the Bucks over the last 3 games. Those are 2 terrible defensive teams, especially when it comes down to guarding the guards. That means that even though Tyler Hero didn't play, or even the fact that Bam Adebayo didn't play, guess what? They still have the guard play to get up and make the scoring. I don't think that happens today because of how the Raptors defenders can match up with this Heat team. In the games before they played the Bucks and the Pacers, they played Brooklyn on the road, they scored 97 points. They played the Knicks on the road, they scored 98 points. You see why I'm going with this under now? And this Raptors team, they defensively, they resemble a lot more of the Knicks and the Nets than they do the Pacers and the Bucks for me, right? So because of that, I think that we have a matchup here that's going to be a little bit more slower pace. Toronto's in the bottom 15 in possessions per game, Miami's in the bottom 5. If we have a slower paced game, if Toronto's struggling offensively, I believe that they're going to have to lean on their defense in this matchup to win this game. They know because of the injuries, this is a good opportunity for them to steal a conference win. I like the Raptors in this spot tonight, but I do want to go with the under Miami Heat team total 108.5 as the second best bet. Now for our third and final best bet, we're going to go over to the college basketball slate. Another beautiful college basketball slate. We were one buzzer beater pick away from cashing in on our first hardwood hammer. That is a 6-leg parlay I put together yesterday to $100 to win $1,000. We were so close. We had the Villanova game there. They lost in overtime at the buzzer, and you know what? We would have cashed all the other plays. But that's why you got to be following me on Twitter. That's why you got to be in the Discord group, because we went absolutely crazy yesterday. We swept the channel on YouTube, but we also had some more winners on the Discord group. So make sure you guys are clicking the link in the bio below. So this way you guys are following me on Twitter and following me inside the Discord group, so you guys get some of those other plays. All right, my friends? So let's look at this college basketball game, and I'm going to go up to Richmond, Virginia, where we got the Memphis Tigers taking on the VCU Rams. And I think we're getting really good value on Memphis here, even though on the road. I love the way that the Memphis team is looking this year. They played one of the toughest non-conference schedules thus far. They played 5 teams ranked in the top 100 in KenPom, right? But when you look at their wins earlier in the year, when they started off the year 5-0, they beat Missouri, they beat Michigan, they beat Arkansas. But recently, they've lost their last 2 games against Villanova and against Mississippi or Ole Miss. 2 really good teams there, right? And that Ole Miss game was on the road. So for me, I think think we're getting value on this Memphis Tigers team because they've lost 2 straight games. If they came into this game 7-0, this is easily Memphis 5.5 on the spread. But we're getting 2.5 here. We're getting 2.5. We're getting 3 on some books. I'm taking the money line. That's the third best bet. Take Memphis on the money line minus 140. If you don't want to lay the juice, you can lay the 2.5 points. I'm not opposed to that because I do think that Memphis wins this game by more than that. Even if it's a close game late, we get the free throws at the end there. If Memphis hit their free throws, they should be good to get over this number. So take the 2.5 if you don't want to lay the juice. But I'm taking Memphis on the money line because of the fact of the value that we're getting because they lost their last 2 games. Now let's look at the VCU Rams on the other hand. This team this year is not the same VCU that we're used to seeing. The chaos, the shock, whatever they call themselves over there, you know, with that defense, they ain't getting it done. I mean, the defense is still pretty strong, but they have struggled mightily on the offensive side of the ball, and that's caused them to lose some games. They lost to McKinsey State to start the year. They lost to Iowa State on a neutral floor. They lost to Boise State on a neutral floor. They barely beat Penn State. That's the only win that they have that's in the top 125 on KenPom. Every team that they played in 125 or lower, they've lost to. And guess what? Memphis now comes in this game ranked, I think, 30th in KenPom, 40, somewhere like that. And for me, I think the advantage lies with Memphis because of the fact that we've seen this VCU team lose to good teams, and they've also lost at home to subpar teams. They just lost their last game to Norfolk State at home, 63-60. Norfolk State, they're ranked 241 on KenPom, all right, my friends? So because of that, I just think that we have a matchup here. We have a great offense in Memphis against a good defense in VCU. We have an all-right offense in VCU against a really good defense in Memphis. Because of that, I think the advantage lies with the better offense and the better defense, which is Memphis. VCU's averaging about 68 points per game this year, while on defense, they're giving about 65 points per game. Their offense is ranked 307, while their defense is ranked 55th. But Memphis, we've seen in the last few games why they lost is because they struggled defensively, but the good news is that VCU's offense, like I said, ranked 107th, they're not very good. And they also turn over the ball a crap ton. They're ranked 351st in turnover percentage. Meanwhile, Memphis is ranked 85th in turnover percentage defensively. So they force a lot of turnovers. And I think that's going to be one of the big differentiators in this game as well. And not to mention the pace of play. Memphis plays really fast, 15th in adjusted tempo, 35th in average possession length. Meanwhile, VCU, 316th in adjusted tempo, ranked 273 in average possession length. So because of that, I think there's a matchup where Memphis speeds up VCU, gets them off their kilter. VCU really turns over the ball a ton, but when you're playing at a faster pace of play, more turnovers are going to happen. Memphis is going to take advantage of that. Memphis is going to be able to score on this team. They've played a ton of good teams already. VCU has struggled against good teams and against other bad teams as well. So because of that, I think we're getting some value here because Memphis has lost a few games in a row. Memphis rebounds today. This is not their first road game as well. If you're worried about that, they played Mizzou on the road and won that game. They just lost to Ole Miss by 3 on the road as well. So because of that, I'm not worried about the road atmosphere or the road kind of advantage that VCU has here. So let's go with Memphis on the money line. But if you want to play the 2.5 spread, you can do that as well to wrap us up tonight. All right, my friends, 3 best bets, 3 winners that are coming your way on this Wednesday card. Karl Anthony Towns over 31.5 points and rebounds. Miami Heat team total under 108.5. And then Memphis money line or the minus 2.5, whichever one you want to lay. But as always, we're going to cash in and we're going to make that money. Hopefully we can celebrate another sweep and with another full loaded basketball slate. I'm going to have a hardwood hammer for you guys tonight. So make sure you guys are tuning into the Discord group and the Twitter page. So I'll drop those picks on there as well. All right, my friends, let's get to that money. Let's continue to cash in on this month of December. And as always, dictate your fate, and I'll see you on the next video. Later, guys.